Chief of the Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, says he was accidentally texted war plans.
Yeah,
Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
The previous administration, we looked like fools. Not anymore.
Breaking news right now. According to The Atlantic, the Trump administration accidentally texted a reporter its military war plans just hours before it ended up striking the Houthis in Yemen.
Mr. President, your reaction to the story in The Atlantic that said that some of your top cabinet officials and aides had been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So y'all, look, yesterday I did a video regarding the segregation ban, and while I was uploading that video, this craziness was happening. Yesterday, Jeffrey Goldberg says he was added to a group chat that included Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Mr. DUI himself, National Security Advisor, who is said to have added Goldberg, Mike Waltz, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Director of National Intelligence, which is crazy, Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah. And all of this was happening on Signal, which is not at all an officially approved governmental messaging service. Like, this is crazy. This is total and utter incompetence. And you'll see the reactions of our government officials is minimum. And they're mad at Jeff Goldberg. How are you mad at the reporter that you added to the group? What, y'all... You know, if this had happened during the Biden administration, they would have been calling for his impeachment. They would have said this happened under
Chief of the Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, says he was accidentally texted war plans.
Yeah, Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Literally just received this piece from The Atlantic, and in it, Goldberg writes, U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real. Then the bombs started falling.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
You know, Republicans have warned us for 10 years what would happen if we hired people based on their skin color and their gender instead of their merit. And I am terrified to say that they were right. Because this right here is 4-star General Lloyd Austin. He was not hired due to his gender or skin color. He was hired on merit. And as the Secretary of Defense for Joe Biden's entire tenure as president, General Austin never once texted top secret military plans to a journalist 2 hours before an attack. And this is Admiral Lisa Franchetti. She served the United States Navy for 40 years. Just like General Austin, she never once in those 40 years accidentally texted top secret military plans to a journalist 2 hours before an attack. And this is General C.Q. Brown, also hired and promoted on merit. He served the United States Air Force for 41 years, including 3,000 flight hours and 130 hours in combat. And you'll never believe it, but in those 41 years of service, he never once accidentally texted top secret military plans to a journalist 2 hours before an attack. And this is Pete Hegseth, selected by Donald Trump to replace General Austin as Secretary of Defense for reasons we can both see and understand. And you wouldn't believe it, but within 8 weeks of his confirmation, he accidentally texted top secret military plans about an attack to a journalist 2 hours before the attack.
Yeah, listen, we fucked up.
So I just saw how Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel did a testifying in front of the Congress people today and how they are going to make this such a big deal that this reporter has been in a group chat and it got leaked. Why? I think an apology won't help, but at the same time, can we move on? I get it. A reporter got into the group chat. That sucks. Leaked out important information about a war plan, and JD Vance in there saying he doesn't know if the president is aware on how this is probably not the best move. Okay, I get it. But for the people in Congress to act like, hey, Tulsi Gabbard, what phone did you use? What is it? Was it your personal phone or was it a government phone? And signals and okay, look, this is going too far already. I think it's a distraction is what I'm saying. And for it to be all breaking news on Fox News and everything, it was a simple mistake. Let's just admit it. It was a simple mistake. Don't let it happen again though. That's it. Done. Don't let it happen again. We shouldn't have any reporters jumping into our professional, strategic military plans. So I get that. But for it to be all over the news, okay, I'm already over it. What the fuck? Let's move on. Have a good day. You sexy mother.
That's very interesting. But what do we do about the gays? I mean, how do we get rid of them?
I want you all to understand the seriousness of this breaking news. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. Me being Jeffrey Goldberg, a reporter, the SecDef, NSA director, and the vice president, literally in a unclassified conversation, text a reporter on accident specific war plans. They use this app called Signal, which is encrypted, but it is unclassified, which means specific information should not be told, discussed, or talked about on this platform whatsoever. If someone in the military had done this, they would be getting an Article 15 right now. This is probably the largest breach of classified information unintentionally in the United States history. I cannot believe this. I can't believe it. When I was overseas 9 months ago, they specifically told us not to discuss classified information on the Signal app. Specifically. There was a policy memo released about this and everything. So the fact that they not only were discussing classified information on this app, they were discussing when it was going to happen. They discussed when it happened. They discussed after it happened and celebrated while having someone in this unclassified chat that wasn't even supposed to be there. So not only are you breaking the law by having these conversations on this chat platform, but people are being added to this chat that you all aren't even vetting. This is insane to me. Insane. People with security clearances take that shit very seriously because they know at any given moment it can be snatched. So the fact that classified information is being discussed casually, cavalier like this, is absolutely mind-boggling to me. I will be watching very closely to see how this is handled because this is unbelievable. Unfreaking believable.
And not disclose the things that I read and saw. I will describe them to you. The specific time a future attack, specific targets, including human targets, meant to be killed in that attack, weapons systems, even weather reports, or, that the government is I don't know why Hegseth was sharing it with everybody. I mean, the precise detail, and then a long section on sequencing. This is going to happen, then that is going to happen. After that happens, this happens, then that happens, and then we go and find out if it worked. I mean, he can say that it wasn't a war plan, but it was a minute by minute accounting of what was about to happen.
About war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in The Atlantic, and were those details classified?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does.
Why were those details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
The NSC said it was authentic.
Mr. President, your reaction to the story in The Atlantic that said that some of your top cabinet officials and aides had been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Right. Well, it couldn't have been very effective, because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time. Anybody else?
Divulging the secrets of our nation at the very highest level, that person would be in prison. There would be outrage across the board. But here, it's covered up. It's incredible.
No, the double standard is incredible. Imagine if it was, Donald Trump, what the media would be doing to him right now, eviscerating him. Or imagine if it was a member of the military, which we've seen from General Cartwright and General Petraeus. They still go after these guys for a tiny, tiny fraction of what she willfully did and betrayed her country in doing so, supposedly for convenience, but actually so she could have a different set of standards and hide her conduct and the conduct of the Clinton Foundation, Benghazi, everything else, so she could stay away from and above the law. And it turns out foreign services want to know what our Secretary of State thinks. And in this instance, they did whatever they could to break an unsecure server in her basement. It tells you everything you need to know.
I just was with the president in the Oval Office just now. The administration is addressing what happened. Apparently an inadvertent phone number made it onto that thread. They're going to track that down and make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Is it better to assume that Pete Hegseth was stinking drunk when he mistakenly texted U.S. war plans to a reporter, or is it better to assume that he's just totally, outrageously incompetent? What do you think?
It's really remarkable. Probably the most sensitive information we have in the armed forces are pending military operations. And in this case, we're talking about the lives of Navy and Air Force flyers. By the way, we also ought to assume that Signal has been penetrated by many intelligence organizations, to include the Russians and the Iranians. So you're basically putting the lives of U.S. service people at risk. You're also displaying to the Houthis what targets are after, and so they can take measures to disperse or avoid the attack. It's a sense of arrogance. And by the way, I also think it's an attempt to avoid accountability under the Official Records Act. These people have been routinely using Signal, I'll bet you, for many other types of sensitive discussions, knowing they wouldn't be filed and available for researchers or investigators in the coming years. It's really a disgraceful situation. If that had been a bunch of majors and lieutenant commanders coordinating an attack, they'd all get fired and probably be subject to criminal prosecution.
So let's get this straight. We go all the way across. Credentials, high-ranked officers, 3-star, mostly 4-star generals, and all of a sudden we get down to a major in the National Guard who's not even full-time uniform, even though he's deployed. He's not even full-time uniform. A major, you drop down from a 4-star general to a major, and you got fuck-ups like releasing shit to the general public. You released sacred information. You literally released information that comes out of a fucking vault that's supposed to stay behind a vault in a secured room where no cell phones, no nothing. People had to leave the damn cell phones and all electronics and everything outside. But you in there, and you text this shit to a reporter, supposedly by accident. Either way, stupid on stupid on stupid on stupid on stupid. Our Secretary of Defense is fumbling. Not to mention the fucked up emails they got you sending out to the employees. But now you doing dumb shit like this. When it comes to wartime or war strategy, which obviously none of you numbfucks know about, there is no room for this type of fucking error. People at the working level get demoted or could possibly get removed from federal service for this shit that you just pulled. But yet we know nothing's gonna happen to you. Oh, were you tipsy or something? I mean, really, were you tipsy? Is this what we do? You literally released information that hopefully this person has the good graces to hold on to, which I'm sure they do, because they wouldn't want to put their journalism career at odds. But the foolery of it all. Highly skilled. He's done some incredible things. What did you do in deployment? Because everything that comes across now from you with that crazy sketch signature on it is going to be questioned. You're going to be laughed at. You are literally the epitome of dangerous. What were you thinking? And then you text that message. You sending out information. Come on. You had to have known. God. The fuckery of it all. The gatekeeper of defense. Yeah, we're screwed.
On March 15th at about 2 p.m., the U.S. began bombing targets in Yemen. That's when most of the world found out that was happening, when the bombing started. There were, of course, some people who knew about it ahead of time because it's their job to know about it, at least several hours before. People like the defense secretary, president, vice president, secretary of state, etc. Oh, and also the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic knew about it several hours before. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. This is not satire. Specifically, Pete Hegseth sent it to him. And you might think from that headline that he accidentally texted him. Like it was a butt dial situation where he just happened to accidentally send war plans. It was worse than that. It was a signal group that he was added to and no one noticed. Sensitive national security and war plans being shared over Signal in a group that has been confirmed to have included Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Vice President J.D. Vance, White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, among others. And you know when President Trump found out about all this? Basically like when I did. When a reporter said, like, you have any comments on what happened with this? And Trump's like, this is the first time hearing of it. I can't emphasize enough how serious this is. It's almost as if you shouldn't have hired the ex-Fox News host with the January 6th insurrectionist tattoo starter kit to do the job. This is why the rest of the world laughs at us.
Earlier today, the Atlantic magazine released a stunning and alarming report about the accidental leaking of the Trump administration's coordination on classified military operations targeting the Houthis in Yemen. According to the report, a member of the press was somehow added to an unsecured text chain with the Vice President, the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of State, the CIA Director, and other national security officials. The text chain was not a secure conversation. The app used is not approved for discussing classified military operations. Nevertheless, on this text chain, conversations went at length about imminent military operations, including specific targets, weapons, and attack plans. These text messages very likely included classified U.S. intelligence. And the entire time, nobody seemed to realize that a private citizen without security clearance had access to this conversation. Mr. President, this is one of the most stunning breaches of military intelligence I have read about in a very, very long time. What we have here are senior U.S. leaders, including the Vice President and Secretary of Defense, having classified discussions of military action over an unsecure app. It's bad enough that a private citizen was added to this chain, but it's far worse that sensitive military information was exchanged on an unauthorized application, especially when that sensitive military information was so important. If these detailed exchanges about coordinating military operations fell into the hands of America's enemies, it could get people killed. It could severely harm our military. It would put America's national security in danger. This debacle requires a full investigation into how this happened, the damage it created, and how we can avoid it in the future. If our nation's military secrets are being peddled around over unsecured text chains, we need to know that at once, and we need to put a stop to it immediately. Every single senator, Republican and Democrat, and independent, must demand accountability. If a government employee shared sensitive military plans like this, they'd be investigated and face very harsh consequences. Again, this kind of carelessness is how people get killed. It's how our enemies can take advantage of us. It's how our national security falls into danger. If you were up in arms over unsecure emails years ago, you should certainly be outraged by this amateurish behavior. I ask that Leader Thune and my Republican colleagues work with Democrats right away to hold a full investigation into why these military operations were coordinated over an unauthorized messaging service instead of the secure communications channels funded by taxpayers. And I want to finish with this. When Pete Hegseth became before the Senate as a nominee, Democrats warned that something like this might happen. These people are clearly not up for the job. We warned confirming them was dangerous, that they'd behave recklessly. Unfortunately, we were right. Now we must have accountability, and both parties in the Senate should investigate how this blunder was even possible.
You've seen the story by now. The Atlantic has this blockbuster report about the Trump administration adding a reporter onto a group chat for war plans. Let me just run through the 5 most important things in that story. First of all, there was a group chat about war plans, That is unheard of. They used an encrypted group chat, but it was a group chat nonetheless. Second thing, they added a reporter. It seems to be that they added this reporter because his initials shared the same initials as an administration official. So they didn't even check to make sure the number was correct. Here's a third thing. The texts included specific information about the attack, about where the bombs were going and when. That stuff's classified. Fourth thing, the vice president, J.D. Vance, was on this group chat. And here's what he had to say. He opposed the strike. He said this specifically: I am not sure the president is aware of how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. That sounds like daylight between Vance and the president, but after the story was published, his office came out saying there's no daylight. He supports the president's decisions on this matter. And here's the last thing. The last thing is what they were saying about Europe. Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, said this: I fully share your loathing of Europe's freeloading. He said that in response to something that J.D. Vance said. Now, the White House says that these messages appear to be authentic. They are not denying that this group chat exists. It raises some very serious national security questions about the Trump administration.
The Trump administration just committed one of the biggest national security blunders of the 21st century. Oh, please, what happened? Joe Goldberg, who is the editor-in-chief of the Atlantic newspaper, was added into a group chat with top Trump officials on March 11th discussing the attack on the Houthis before it happened. Who was in the chat? J.D. Vance, the Secretary of Defense, the National Security Advisor, and other top Trump officials. How did the reporter get in? Joe Goldberg said Mike Waltz, the National Security Advisor to Trump, added him to the chat. How are we supposed to believe this Joe Goldberg guy? He provided screenshots, and the spokesperson for the National Security Council confirmed the report today and said they're looking into how it happened. At the end of the day, yes, it was a blunder, but nothing was compromised and the attack was successful. Remember how Trump railed against Hillary Clinton for years for conducting classified business on her personal email? That blunder lasted years and was followed with her destroying evidence. This was a one-time mistake that I'm sure will be cleaned up. It's just such an incompetent mistake. Most Americans know how to double check who is in a group chat before saying something shady. We have top government officials discussing the most classified information in the world, and they accidentally had a journalist in there. When Trump said he was going to be the most transparent president ever, he wasn't kidding. This is not a joke. This is a breach of national security. The journalist should have had morals and left instead of snooping around. Oh, please, we're lucky the journalist didn't leak the plan before it happened. Exactly my point. Nothing happened, so why are we mad? Because I thought the adults were back in charge. Guys, I'm doing a full breakdown of this story from a both sides news perspective and the other stories of the day tonight on my YouTube. Subscribe right now to make sure you don't miss it. See you guys there.
What the fuck, bitch? What the fuck, bitch? What the fuck, bitch? What the fuck, bitch?
Trump officials shared war plans in a Signal chat, and this chat included a journalist. That journalist was from the Atlantic, who broke the story. It was their editor-in-chief. The messages contained operational details of their strikes in Yemen prior to them happening. And the National Security Council has confirmed that the texts look authentic. And to think that this is the party that won on Hillary's emails. We don't know why there was a journalist let in or why the other people were in the chat, but we'll find out soon. If you're a Trump supporter, just think about how mad you were internally about Hillary's emails, or Benghazi, or this dossier. Trump has done all of those things tenfold, and now he's doing national security in a Signal chat. But this story will be spun, and you'll probably believe that too. The other part of this is that we've strayed so far from norms that this kind of story will probably go under the radar. Your country is being taken from you. It's time to wake up.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!
Pete, who's in the Yemen group text?
You know, top military officials, intelligence agents, and my boy Jeffrey Goldberg.
Your boy Jeffrey? This is a highly classified mission. Honestly, I don't even know why we're texting all these classified details in a group text. This should be the only thing that is an in-person meeting. Like, one of the generals, He put in the group text a picture of the jet we're going to use, and then 5 people liked the message. Pete, you sent a GIF. Are we not serious as a country anymore?
First of all, it's Jeff. And bro, chill. Jeffrey's cool. He won't snitch. And he definitely won't write an article about all of this. Also, we have a group text, so we can name it The Empire Strikes Back. That's like a fire group chat name.
Oh, that makes it so much better, okay? Now that I know our group text is called Empire Strikes Back. Honestly, Pete, just send an email next time.
Oh, I have one drink and text the wrong person. Now we bringing up emails. Everyone's a comedian.
The previous administration, we looked like fools. Not anymore.
Breaking news right now. According to The Atlantic, the Trump administration accidentally texted a reporter its military war plans just hours before it ended up striking the Houthis in Yemen.
Laugh out loud.
So it looks like the leaked signal messages of J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, Mike Walls, and a few other people were leaked to the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. They were added to a signal message chat where these guys were discussing the defense strategy and the offensive strategy, actually, of how we were going to deal with the Houthis in Yemen. And the Democratic Party and all of their influencers are flipping the fuck out. At the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that the Secretary of Defense, the Director of DEI, the Vice President of the United States, and many other people in the President's cabinet have the authority to decide what platform and what mechanism they're going to use to communicate. And if you read the messages, there's really not much there. The Democrats just don't like the fact that we're winning.
At reporter Jeffrey Goldberg, yeah, he's an Israeli-American journalist who served in the IOF, so that's probably why he didn't do more with the investigative journalism on a Yemen bombing.
Hey, we got a Jew over here, guys. Jew detected. My Judar is going crazy right now. As soon as I saw Goldberg, I knew that this was going to happen from MAGA Twitter, but I expected it from the left too, honestly. Jeffrey gave up his Israeli citizenship in 2013. Tell me how his connections to Israel have affected his journalism negatively. And then tell me what you want him to do, what you wanted him to do with that information that he got. Was he supposed to commit treason and warn the Houthis about the attacks that were going to happen? Like, what was the point of this video besides going, Goldberg? Goldberg? Come on, guys. He could be biased. He could have mishandled this story. I don't know. Tell me how. Show your work.
The fact that this known alcoholic that he fucking appointed texted out fucking war plans to a reporter. Like, you just casually out here just texting a side bitch war plans. That's crazy to me. Like, first of all, you shouldn't be texting anything. Let's talk about that. You should be sending it in an email document. An email form. Like, this whole administration is a fucking clown show because there's no reason why you have fucking detailed, documented war plans on your fucking phone available to text anytime. Bitch, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is why I know you were never qualified for the fucking position, bitch. You are a DEI hire at its best. Like, you're the Secretary of motherfucking Defense and you're texting war plans, bitch? Like, does nobody see how crazy that shit is? Like, that's fucking insane. You work for the U.S. government, whore? What is going on? Like, that information is confidential as a motherfucker, and you just out here texting it to any goddamn body and not even checking where you're sending this shit to when it shouldn't even been sent in a text message in the first place. It shouldn't even been on your motherfucking phone. It should have been on a fucking protected fucking computer, but you're out here just texting willy-nilly anything? Bitch, you need to be fired.
A quick update on an administration that is once again carrying out its plans with competence and professionalism.
A reporter from The Atlantic says he was mistakenly added to a group chat with top members of the Trump administration as they were texting back and forth about highly sensitive war plans.
Jeffrey Goldberg says he was included in a group chat full of our nation's top security officials discussing what we can only assume to be top secret plans to bomb Houthi targets across Yemen on March 15th. Everything from the weapons America would be deploying to the timing and the attack sequences.
Oopsie poopsie! You know, back in my day, if you were a journalist who wanted leaked war documents, you had to work the sources, meet them in a dark garage, earn the trust, pound the pavement. Now, you just wait for the national security advisor to be distracted by White Lotus while he's setting up his bomb Yemen group chat. Are those guys jerking each other off? By the way, I might be in this group chat. I don't know. I don't check my group chats. Perhaps my favorite text of the entire group chain was the one from our defense secretary saying, quote, "We are currently clean on OPSEC." For those of you who don't know, OPSEC means operational security. He said that in a group chat. A group chat with a journalist. The journalist said that he didn't think that the story was real until Yemen was bombed. Oh, did I bring you down?
Okay, guys, those are all the videos that I put together for you for this one. And I forgot to mention that Stephen Miller, Trump's senior advisor, and Steve Witkoff, U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, who is also involved in the Putin-Zelensky ceasefire plans, were also included in this text message stream in my earlier rant. But yeah, look at everyone, all the political people. Look at their responses. Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, Mike, everyone's response, their first instinct is to attack the reporter. They're to attack the Atlantic. How is that a tactic? Goldberg was ostensibly minding his own business, and we've all been there. We've all been added to a text stream without knowing its origin or why. And like Goldberg, we might stick around for a little while to see if anything interesting happens in that group. Is it our fault we were added? No. It's totally the fault of the originator of this text stream, which appears to be either Pete Hegseth or Mike Waltz. Either way, they're the ones at fault. How are you attacking Goldberg? Like, this is absolute insanity. And then you see Trump saying that he doesn't know anything about it. And he's saying that it should be remembered that Goldberg is a Democrat. Like, so what does that have to do with the utter incompetence shown by everyone in this group? And y'all, what's up with the emojis? What's up with the emojis? Do you all use emojis in your work group chat when you're discussing important things for your job? Do you use emojis or do you use words like adults? You know, what is this? Every day, companies around the world work to secure their company's conversations, often dictating where and when and how certain conversations can occur. Surely these standards should be the same for the government. Surely they should at least have these standards. Why was this on Signal? This is crazy, y'all. This is crazy. I don't know, y'all. This is just scary. All of the folks on that call have access to secrets that you and I should not have access to, secrets that reporters should not have access to. And this is how they guard them. We are in trouble. This is pretty much like Donald Trump having the nation's secrets in the toilet, right? Next to the toilet in his bathroom. We are in trouble, y'all. We are in trouble. But those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Let me know. Let's have a conversation about it. Is this a big deal to you? Or is it like the gentleman said, you're over it? It's a distraction. Just let it go. Let me know. Get in those comments. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, toodles.